In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a new quiz. Now remember in the former video I showed you that you can just migrate a simple quiz very easily by selecting that and migrate. But let's say you don't have a simple quiz and you just need a place to start. If you select plus quiz up here, remember you have to be in the quizzes area to do this. Select plus quiz and it gives you the option of classic quiz or new quizzes. Um, the new quizzes are all that is going to be available to students after June 2021, so you want to make sure you start transitioning to that now. So we want to create a new quiz. I would not recommend checking this box because once you select it, you no longer have the option of what type of quiz you want to make, and occasionally you need to create a classic quiz so that you can create a test bank or something. So I'm going to create a new quiz, and then I'm going to name it. In this case, it's going to be Chapter 5. And here you can put the points that you want the test to be worth. This looks a little different than the regular legacy or classic quiz. You notice that there's a submission type is external tool. The new quizzes is an LTI rather than an actual quiz. It's like kind of like a software product, so it's going to behave a little differently. Once you've created it, then you can go to save and publish, and here it takes you right into the quiz. Now, it's pretty intuitive. Remember before when we went to the item banks, we went up to the option menu and selected manage the item banks. You can import items or QTI files right here, or if you select item banks, you can select questions from an item bank. Now the difference is if you have an item bank, then your questions can be edited in the item bank, and that will update them wherever they are used. So if you see a problem with a question and you go to your item bank and edit it, then it's fixed for everybody. If you import the questions by using the import and import a QTI file in here, the questions are just in this test. Now you can copy this test from one course to the other, so that is fine, but if there is a problem, it only will be fixed in the courses that that content is copied into. So I'm going to show you how to add questions from an item bank. You select the item bank, and then here you can either select all the questions. Sorry, I have to back up a minute. You select the item bank you want to get the questions for, and I'm just going to select one. And here you select either which questions you want, or you can select them all. Now remember, they'll all pull into the test if you select all. I'm just going to select a handful of them, and you just hit that plus sign and they populate over here. Now remember, when you're done, it automatically populates, so you have to close this window to get out of that and into the test. Now you can see all the questions I just added. You can preview the test by selecting the preview button, and to make sure that the test types came in correctly. These are a short answer. In some cases, if we migrated certain question types, there might be changes into how they look, so you want to preview all your tests. I'm going to go to return. Oops, I should have said preview, exit preview, but it doesn't matter. Alright, so now that we have created this new quiz, I just want to remind you of a few things. If there is an issue with this and you want to edit the wording on a question or something, you have to be able to edit in the bank. Now, if you are not the one that created that question bank, you will not be able to edit it. Also, if somebody has shared that test bank with you, then you can edit it. Just know that there's some limitations on this. I'm going to say cancel on that. Close that. Also, if you delete the item bank, that may affect the questions in the test. So be sure that if you are deleting item banks, that you know that they are not affecting a test. So let me show you what I mean by that. If we go to the item bank and you decide this is the item bank I just used and I want to delete it, it gives you a warning. It says that it'll no longer be accessible to others, um, even those who have shared access. That means that the test items are still there, but nobody can change them. It will not be removed from the assessment, but it will lose the statistical link reporting. So if you're gathering information about outcomes and they're tied to this test, then that's going to be disabled. Um, you can also no longer add these questions. So um, that's just something to be aware of if you ever want to clean up your test banks. So it's a good idea to start with an organization method. In my case, I make sure that all my test banks have the name of the course I'm planning on using it in and the chapter, and occasionally I also say, like, put NQ at the end. Now you notice here that these test banks, the name actually changes according to what the name of the test bank that I imported into it is. So when you create a new bank, it doesn't really matter what you name it. You can name it just chapter 1 or whatever. But when you import content into it, that's what the name of that test bank is going to be. It's a good idea to make sure that all your test banks at every point have the course ID at the front, just so when you have multiple courses that you teach that you don't get them confused. They'll go by alphabetical order, so you can make sure that all the ones from the same course are in the same area. Now to get out of here, you're going to select return, and now I'm back in the quiz, and I'm going to select return again to get back to the quizzes. One quick little thing, I just wanted to explain why I try to put NQ at the end of my tests, and that's because if you're adding an item, normally if you were adding a quiz you would go to quizzes. Well, obviously you can't tell if it's a new quiz or not from here, but these are not new quizzes because the new quizzes are in assignments, and that has to do with it being an LTI link. So if you go to assignments, you're going to have everything, not just your quizzes. So you want to make sure that you put something in there that helps you identify that that's one of the new quizzes that you created, and you can add it there. Remember, those can be changed later on, and if you change it in your assignments area or your quizzes area, you can remove that once you have everything cleaned up, and it'll remove it in the link and everything else. So just want you to be aware that the new quiz, it's a good idea to know that where they are and name them with some kind of identifier. Thank you.